say something without patronizing you, okay? This lady has a backbone. I give her a lot of credit for what she's gone through in her first 2 years of her term, the abuse that she has taken, and I don't normally say this, but it was very disrespectful. I give you tremendous credit for that, and when I sent her the email, I said, win, lose, or draw, and it all depended on that last question on your ballot. Should the superintendent of schools be appointed or elected? She was elected by those of us who voted for her 4-year term. Yeah. 2 years into her term, it's questionable which way all this is going to go now. You could have very easily said, if I come in second place, forget this. I could care less about your Trump club. She still came here to inform us, so please let's give her a round of applause and show a lot of respect.
Thank you so much. It is an honor to be here as your elected superintendent. I'm also proud to be an Army brat, and I said to my new friend back here with her Navy sweatshirt, Navy Mom, we can still be friends. We'll just steal your goat again this year. Go Army. And both of my parents were in the Army, so I carry those values with me, and I'm especially proud to be the mother of Jack, who is just turned 21 years old. He attends University of West Florida. He was a proud graduate of Lake Ware High School. So my heart and my home is here in Marion County, and I am committed to making sure that we have the best educational opportunities for all students here in Marion County. My goal is that every child will have the same opportunities that Jack had when he went through school. When my son was going through school, I was in his high school, I was a professor at the college here. I was in teacher education. And so I was training folks to be teachers. And as Jack was working through his high school years, his father was an assistant principal here in the county. And we were discovering things that we had to dig for, and we were in the system. So I kept thinking, what about these families who want the best for their children, who really want their children to succeed, who are vested in their child's education, and who can't navigate the system? And that was one of the impetuses that prompted me to run for superintendent. And so here we are, and I just wanted to give you an update on a few things and then take your questions. We'll guide today's discussion how you'd like it. But 3 things that I'd like to start with are vocational programs, school safety, and then our new reading curriculum for our elementary students. And that's why we have the website up here. It's going to enhance that. So I'll just start, and then please feel free, as you have questions during the presentation, to ask, and we'll go from there. How about that? Okay. All right. So I handed out some brochures to you as you came in. It gives you an overview, something for you to take with you when you leave today on our vocational programs. I'm so proud to share with you that last school year, we issued to our students over 1,300 industry certifications for students 8th grade through high school. Now, these certifications make these students immediately employable. We had our 8th graders earning Microsoft certifications. The year before that, we had a student who graduated Lake Ware High School that went right into Lockheed Martin because of the industry certifications they're earning. These industry certifications not only make them employable, but also translate to post-secondary credit. So it's not your typical woodshop, home ec type of vocational programs. As you see, we have logistics now. We have a CDL program. We have barbering. We have welding. We have everything that our community is asking us to turn over for vocational programs. We are able to respond almost at an instant. We just graduated our first CDL, Commercial Driver's License Program, about a month ago. And in partnership with our logistics program, we have logistics at Lake Ware High School and at Westport High School. Those schools work together to transport 2 semi trucks full of supplies to our panhandle. to help our folks up there. So not only are we responding to local needs, we're responding to state needs. Last night, we had 2 of our nursing instructors named as 2 of the top 100 nurses in Marion County. Our healthcare vocational programs have doubled since I started office 2 years ago. This year we started a future teacher academy so we can grow our own teachers. So at Vanguard High School, we have students who will enter this academy in the 9th grade. They will, when they graduate in 12th grade, they will have 2 years of college behind them. They are able then to go immediately into a teacher preparation program at a university or college, and then come back to us 2 years later at the age of 20, ready to teach. So again, meeting the needs of our community. And the mindset with vocational used to be, well, not everybody can go to college. You need vocational. My mindset is, not everybody has the skills for vocational. We still need college. Sure, when these students leave us and go into the vocational field, they're making a great living. They've got potential to earn a great income. But to me, it's more than that. Think back to when we were in school, and about 8th grade, they must have the Democratic meeting next door. Hear the whining? When we were in school, at about 8th grade, you had the sense, oh, this group is going to go to college. This group, not so much. This group going to college, popular, doing things. This group who knew they weren't, faded away. Faded away and left us. And that is how it was the mindset about 2 years ago when this administration started. So what are we going to do to hook those kids? We've given them a purpose. Imagine that. Now you know there's a purpose. You know you're with others who have the same likes and interests as you. You're going to stay in school. You're going to stay in school. You're going to become a contributing member to society. You won't be one of those who just wears their pants around their ankles and plays around at the mall. You have a purpose. And to me, there's no greater gift than to give a young person a purpose in life. So as we continue next year, we will have vocational opportunities at even more of our schools. We are adding entrepreneurship, and also we will be adding more in the IT field. We will be having what we call a Career Choice Academy. These are hubs of vocational programs at every high school, so that we're reaching the far ends of our county. And a county the size of Rhode Island, we need that. So we have opportunities all over our county, as well as the hub at Marion Technical Institute, our vocational high school, which is the Old Forest High School that's on Fort King. That's that in a brief summary. I'll continue, but we'll circle back if you have more questions. School security. School security, of course, is a primary concern, because we can educate all we want, but if our students aren't safe, nothing else matters. In spring, shortly after Parkland, the governor signed a bill that sent school safety money across the state. It was about $400 million across the state. Of that, we got about 2.4. About 2.4. We currently have 56 school resource officers in our schools, and these are sheriff's officers, Bellevue police, and Ocala police officers. And our school board chose that option. There was 3 school safety options that we could have chosen: the SROs, our own school safety force, or the Guardian program. We did a little hybrid. We do have some Guardians, which are school personnel who are armed. Okay. With those SROs, the cost of that was over $3 million, close to $4 million. So out of our general fund, we pulled a little over $1 million to take care of that. So that was $1 million unexpected that went to school safety. And again, I stand before you and say our student safety is primary, is paramount. Nothing else trumps it as the primary thing we need to do. But again, that was another unfunded mandate from our state. So we were able to fund that because our Chief Financial Officer, Teresa Boston Ellis, is very good at ensuring that we take great care of our finances. We were recently notified we have a grant that we got from the state to help with hardening of our schools. Almost $3 million, a little over $2.5 million for that. And so we will be fencing. Our goal is by July that we will have our fences done at every high school. If you've seen the fences at Vanguard High School, where they're aesthetic. They're as aesthetic as they can be, where you can kind of see through them. They look fancy, like the fences at Buckingham Palace, kind of with the wrought iron, the fake wrought iron. Those will be the fences that we have. We were able to buy in bulk the panels. They're panels and they slide together, so they're called panel fencing. So we will be using those fences. We will go high school, then we will look at middle and then elementary schools. So that, along with discussions on, I know there's been lots of discussions lately, no backpacks, clear backpacks, wanding, metal detectors, all of that still is in discussion. But we know that the best deterrent and the best safety measure we have are our students themselves, our students ourselves. The issue that recently happened at Westport High School, where a student saw a weapon and told somebody. We have reports at least once a week of students who speak up to adults. So that building those relationships and making sure that that is a focus at our schools, where our students not only feel safe themselves but have a relationship with a trusting adult at schools, is what's really going to turn us around. Not a fence, not a clear backpack, and certainly not a metal detector. It's going to be those relationships. So those are a priority as well, and making that a priority. Pause for a moment. I'll continue then. Another thing that I am very proud of is that we are the first school district ever in the state of Florida to choose our curriculum independent of the state list. As you're aware, the State Department of Education comes up with a list of curricula and presents it to districts, and from that list, districts may choose off that list. Prior to this round, where we chose our own, it used to be a lot of, the vendors would come in off that list and they would throw little parties, and people would come and you'd be like, oh, well, I like that box of stuff, let me buy that, or oh, that's kind of fancy, or they had nice snacks at theirs, I'll choose that curriculum. Because it was off the state list, so you figure, oh, it was approved, it was good. Well, it wasn't, and it didn't meet the needs of our students. So we have, the big splash that we have is our new reading curriculum, and that's why I have our website. And I wanted to show you with this. It's called Community Reads, this website. And this website showcases our curriculum for our students K through 5. When the scores came out last spring, the reading scores, they were low. They were low. We knew that they were going to be low. Honestly, we didn't know they were going to be that low. We knew we had a reading problem. And even before the scores came out, we had moved to fix these reading scores. Even with the low reading scores, our district grade went up from a C to a B. And that was because of our vocational programs and those acceleration points that we got. So we are on the right path with our middle and high schools. We know that we've gotten significant gains in our math and in our science in our elementary, and with this fix for reading, we are truly on the right path to not only raising our school grades, but giving these kids, again, every opportunity and a stellar education. So, with this new curriculum that was chosen, the reading program is called Core Knowledge Language Arts. It is a reading program that provides students not only with skill-based lessons, phonics, comprehension, and such, but with background knowledge. Because when we live in a community our size, we know that there are students, let's say on the north side, who may never get into town. They may never travel into town, but then when they take the state assessment, they have to read and comprehend things that they've never even experienced. And without life experiences behind them, the second best thing we can do is give them experiences through reading. And that's what this curriculum does. And the feedback we've been getting from teachers is amazing. They're saying that their students are using vocabulary, rich, bold vocabulary they haven't seen before, that they are understanding, having great discussions, so that comprehension is on the rise. And why do we read? We read to understand. We don't read to decode. Okay, we have to decode to read, but in the end, if we're not understanding what we're reading, nothing else really matters. So let's take a look at this curriculum that also I'm very proud of, because it celebrates what is great about our country. And as the daughter of Army vets, I'm going to increase that size. I came into office with that commitment to our veterans. And this curriculum is another way for our students to experience the great things about our country. So if you go to our website, and it's marionschools.net, could you dim the lights?
Sure.
We say just look for the book. Up here at the top, I'll close this. We're closed next week for Thanksgiving. Up here is Community Read, so just look for the book.
You all see in the back?
Mm-hmm. Yes. Okay. And that takes you to the main page of Community Reads. Oh, I have the same dress on. So every month there is, this is my happy fall dress. So every month I do a welcome message, and the content flips every month, the first of the month at 12:01 a.m. And this is a big deal to us at the district office. One of us on our team, we stay up and we record it when it flips because we're so excited about this content. So on this main page, there is a welcome message.
Schools. November, that month where we take some extra time to be thankful. I'm thankful. I'm thankful for 43,000 opportunities to change the world, and I am thankful for you. Thanks for joining us in this journey to academic excellence here in Marion County Public Schools. Before I share just some of the great things that our K-5 students are learning and reading and doing in the month of November, I want to give you a hint about something exciting coming next month in December. Over the holiday break in December, our students will be able to participate in a reading challenge. Now, this reading challenge will keep them excited about reading over the break and will also keep their skill level up. And that's very important as we have this 2-week break in December. Now, when we come back in January, students who have kept up with their reading will be put into a drawing, and students who have read the most will earn prizes. Their teachers will win prizes. Their media centers will earn a prize. So we have an incentive, but also that intrinsic love of reading will be promoted over the holiday break. So stay tuned for more information on that. Now, every month I say it to you that exciting things are happening in this reading series, and this month is over the top. And I had so many things to share that I had to whittle that list down. So I encourage you to remember, go down to the different grade levels, click those links down there for each grade level to go in depth. But I just want to share a few things with you that our students are learning and doing. In second grade, something so exciting is our second graders will be learning about the War of 1812, but they're going to be doing it in a developmentally appropriate way through stories and narratives that are written on level and written in a fairy tale type of literary language, so that we are developing that background knowledge for them so that they, at this young age, begin to understand and appreciate our founding fathers and what people at that time went through to create this great country that we have. When these students then reach 8th grade, 9th grade, where they're taking civics and American history, they will have this background understanding and they'll be able to appreciate it even more in depth. And in 4th grade, our students in 4th grade are going to be in a quest, a live game show for the entire unit. And they will be talking about different inventors as well. Something unique about this unit is they will be exposed to people, inventors, that they may not be familiar with. Heidi Fyock, if I say that name to you, the first thing I'm sure that pops into your mind is that she was an actress in the 40s and 50s. But did you know that that woman was brilliant, and she was a scientist and helped our country, the United States, defeat the Germans? Seriously, click that link down there for more information. And another scientist, experimenter, inventor, Ruth Wakefield. Here's a picture of her, or a caricature of her. Does that name sound familiar? Her name may not sound familiar, but I bet what she did in developing the Toll House cookie. I bet you've heard of Toll House cookies and chocolate chip cookies, one of my favorite things. And I didn't even know the story behind the chocolate chip cookie before I read this unit. So, just a few things happening this month, some very exciting things happening this month. So I wish you a wonderful November, and I'm gonna go enjoy a cookie and read some more. And I hope you have a great month. See you in December.
You have a chance to study something that's going to be fun. Interesting.
So when we think about persistence and the love of learning, and seriously, the story behind how this woman developed the Toll House cookie is amazing. And her fortitude and her wittiness and her how she used that brain of hers to develop this incredible. So what's going to hook a 4th grader? Something real life, something tangible, something they can relate to. So we always talk about Thomas Edison, and he's great, but to give them something unique and something that they can hold on to is going to increase their investment in what they're learning. And then what I mentioned down here is when you go to the bottom of the page then, as you scroll down, we put family activities here that families can check on. We have bilingual resources, and then each grade level has just a synopsis of what they are learning and doing. Each page is set up the same. So here it talks about what 4th graders are learning and doing. And to the side, we also have readers from the community. So some of our community leaders have volunteered there. You see Michelle Stone, Pastor Quintana, and Jenny Ranson from the library is here this month too. And then on the side, we also have principals, and these rotate every month. As we scroll down, this shows families how they can access materials for their child through the Media Center. In fact, on the child's school portal, you can reserve items at the Media Center. So if the child says, oh, well, I want to check out a book about Thomas Edison, the parent and the child can get on the child's portal and reserve that book at the student's Media Center. In fact, if it's not, it's much like the public library. If it's not at their school's Media Center, they can order it from another one, and it goes right there. It's shipped right to them. Other opportunities too, down here.
What kind of utilization are you getting on the site?
We track the analytics monthly, and once we did a big media push last month, the analytics went up. We have more engagement with Marion, which I'm going to talk to you about right now. Marion is an online library where we have over 6,000 books that our students can read at any time. And with Marion, we all could be reading the same book. Sometimes you have to buy a site license and maybe only 2 or 3 students can read a book at one time. Every student in Marion County could be reading the same book at the same time. So Marion is an online library that then has quizzes that go along with it, much like we used to use Accelerated Reader, but Accelerated Reader didn't have the books with it. It just had those tests that students would get prizes for, and was very expensive. Marion is less expensive and includes this library of over 6,000 books. Also with Marion, we can track not only what books are being read, but when a student is reading online, we can see if they scroll back, we can see if they touch a word, we can see what words they use in the glossary, how long it takes them to read, how many minutes they're reading, and yes, sir?
Are these 6,000 books spread out across the grade levels?
Yes.
Okay, so for a second grader, there would be a couple hundred?
Oh, yes, and what you see down here, oh, there's, yes. What we do too is on each page, we do suggestions of books for that grade level. So while we have the same Marion introduction, like, oh, here's Marion and this is what it does, for each grade level, we put suggestions each month that link back to the unit itself.
Okay, she's working on the 1812, right?
Oh, okay.
So is her books about, you have it into this Marion?
Yes, yes ma'am.
That way she can go in there and read that?
Oh, yes ma'am, I'll show you that as soon as we're done talking on this page. I'll go right to second grade and show you, yes, yes. So our analytics are up, and what we also do is we send our district teams out to schools when they have family nights so that we show families how to get on to Community Reads and on to Marion. A new partnership that we just started as well is with the Marion County Literacy Council as they work with the community in tutoring and GED and ESOL, and those are adults who do not speak English, and also adults who are learning to read. Because one of the things we found are many of our students come from families where either literacy isn't valued or the parents don't read. So with Marion has a feature where it reads to you. So we're going to start partnering with the Marion County Literacy Council because they meet in some of our schools. That opportunity also is going to increase where they can have trainings at our schools. We're going to go in, we're going to show the families how to log on to Marion so that these parents know that they can log on and then have the books read to them so they can also be accessing these books. It's a wonderful, wonderful opportunity. You can also print these books out. I say there's everything in Marion from Pete the Cat to Shakespeare. I mean, the gamut is there, but you can print them if you want, and you can also access all of this on your phone. So sometimes people say, well, those families don't have internet, it won't work. Well, almost everybody has a smartphone, and from the smartphone you can access Community Reads and you can access Marion. And going back to that reading challenge I mentioned, we are going to have winners at every school. So students who read the most minutes over the holiday break, there will be a winner at every school. It won't be just a winner district-wide, because also we know that it would be difficult to have an equitable contest when you have students from like the 8th Street, Madison Street, NH Jones group compared to Fort McCoy or Spar, where the internet might be not as reliable, okay, or the access to downloading those books. So let me go down here and share some more.
Sounds like the Democrats next door just got the election results.
Then for each grade level, we provide prompts for families to have conversations. These conversation starters link back to the content we're talking about. Here's some things about inventors. Then beyond the bell, here's family engagement activities. This is a small snapshot of it, but these are activities that families can do at home. I hope it'll load. Here we go. Oh, I don't think it's going to because of the Acrobat. But what it does, and these also, our teachers print off and send home if families are not able to print. But these are all different activities that continue the learning at home. And again, our teachers will print that if needed. And then Ms. Beck, who is the Director of Elementary Ed, does a video that explains to parents and explains to communities about the Florida standards and how what we're teaching goes back to the Florida standards. So she puts that in easy conversation. So I encourage you to take a look at that too. And that is it. Now let me take you back to what you asked. Let me do this. It's just easier that way. Let me scroll down. And if we go to second, so you see it's every page is laid out the same. The pictures on the sides stay the same for each grade level. But here for Marion, here are the featured books. There is The War of 1812, a book about the Star-Spangled Banner, the U.S. Constitution, James Madison. So yeah, it's
Definitely
really
to
good
teach them
stuff.
that.
It's very exciting. It's very exciting. So this what I think this initiative, the choosing our own curriculum, being able to focus on our local values, our conservative values, this reading initiative, I think I can say are our greatest accomplishments in this administration. So. That is what I had wanted to show you, or what can I answer for you? What would you like to know more about? Yes, sir.
I've been in here just briefly looking at it, and I think the community reads is great. But I have as much struggle with second grade math as I did with college calculus.
Yeah.
Some of the processes being used within math is like, why is it being done that way? It's like, why can't we just do it the way I did it?
New math versus.
That's
new math versus
erosion
new
in
math.
Ohio when I was in second, third grade.
Understood. And this goes back to what is on the Florida standard. Because respectfully, if we aren't teaching in alignment with these standards, when these students get to the test, they will not pass the test. Is life all about passing the test? No. But do we have to give these kids a chance to progress through the grades? Yes. And this is where I'm going to turn it over to you, to where you must advocate for our kids. I need you to help our kids. And the only way that we are going to change our standards is by advocating to our legislator. And we can do this. We all know that they're called the Florida standards, but we all know they are Common Core with a little bit more algebra and some handwriting thrown in there. We can change them. I was honored as the guest of Mr. Hansen to meet with Mr. DeSantis when he was here in Ocala, and in the brief time I had from him, I advocated, please, we can change these standards. It's been done before. When I worked at the college, I was on committees that would write the teacher certification exam, that did write standards. It can be done. The infrastructure is in place. We worked through a think tank at Florida State University. So again, that infrastructure is in place. It's just going back to that way of thinking. So it can be done, and I'm going to ask for your help in getting this change made. We can do it.
They just get rid of Common Core, period.
Certainly we can. We can write our own.
Yeah.
We can
Because
write
they're
our own.
not, the kids are not learning with that stuff. They're not learning math.
I think they are learning math, but what I think it is that we are squashing their ability to think, because we are saying this is the only way you can get this answer. There are many ways to get an answer in math, we know that, but when we tell them we will only accept this one answer done this particular crazy way, I think we are squashing a lot of spirit, a lot of creativity, and a lot of genius.
What was wrong with the way we learned is, I guess, what I'm asking them.
I understand people are saying, somebody was involved in the creation of Common Core and has admitted it's a failure. I read that somewhere.
Bill Gates.
Is it Bill
Correct,
Gates?
yeah.
Then I said that the Common Core is a failure, the folks that was involved in creating it, said it was not good.
Right, and just look at Hillsborough and what he did with yanking funding out of that school district, and it sent him into a fiscal crisis, correct? Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Hi. Is IHMC involved with the robotics program?
Yes, they are. We are blessed to have them involved. Yes.
To what degree are
They work with our elementary kids with robotics, and in fact, we have a relationship with, we just started with our professional development team, where we are more involved now so that we are working more closely, getting our teachers not only more notice about these trainings, but with the MIP points, the points needed to recertify, and just strengthening that relationship.
Because they're very community spirited,
Yes, they are.
so that's a very good contact.
Yeah, and we are thankful for Mr. Bianculli and his
Absolutely.
help with that as well. And it's all about community. It really is.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yes.
Not only for us sharing information with you this way, but for the community embracing our kids. And that's another thing I'm very proud of. We know that we need the community now, and we welcome you all. Yes, ma'am.
When you develop these programs like this new one, do you have to get the approval of the Board of Education, or are you able to just go ahead and decide what you want it to be and set it up?
You mean the new curriculum that we chose?
Mhm.
Well, our school board had to approve that plan. So our local school board, because the ability to choose your own curriculum for a school district to choose it is in statute. It's always been in statute, but nobody's ever done it because it looks a little overwhelming when you look at all the steps you have to take. But one of the first conversations I had after becoming superintendent, I said to the staff, let's look at this and can we do it? And they said, well, of course we can. So we did, and that's kind of the mindset we have, is that we just do it.
Because I just read in the paper this morning that Nevada is going to institute an advisory board comprised of 6 teachers who will work with the State Board of Education. Thought that was kind of interesting.
Well, I know our state has that. Another great thing about when we decided to go this pathway with our own curriculum is that community members, parents, teachers all sit on that committee to choose curriculum. So the board appoints some, I appoint some, so it is a nice blending of everybody and everybody's background and experience.
So did you get any flack? Well, of course, you don't choose the books that go on this program per se. I mean, they're all obviously reflect the conservative values of the community. You choose the ones that they're going to read for the particular grade level.
It comes in the curriculum. And so the committee chose the curriculum. Then the committee presented their recommendation to me, and I presented that recommendation to the board. And overall, this curriculum is amazing. It really is. But there have been a few spots where I've had to make some decisions. For example, fourth grade or third grade was going to read Cupid and Psyche because they were studying the Greek myths. Well, the Cupid and Psyche, there was some sensitive discussions in Cupid and Psyche that third graders didn't need to hear. More high school level. So what we did was we let the teachers know that, in fact, the teachers brought it to our attention that they were a little bit uncomfortable with that. Okay, so our district staff worked with them, we got them replacement text, and we still taught the standards and everything was good. So in fact, 5th grade for December was going to read A Midsummer Night's Dream, which I think is fabulous. I think some of our students could handle it. I think some may not be able to. So again, we're going to let our teachers decide, is this appropriate for your students? And if not, then we'll help you choose another text. And if so, we will also help you to communicate with families that we're going to read this. Yes, sir.
Do you have people from the crafts who actually have done the work come talk to the students?
Oh, not only that, we have them teaching too.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Because when the kids can relate to the people who actually done the work, or can ask questions about, it looks one way in the classroom, but in the field.
In real life.
It's real, a little bit
Yes.
different.
Yes,
It's
sir.
real helpful to the kids.
So we have them come, we also have our students go to job fairs and exhibit fairs where they interact with the actual business community.
Very good.
And we also have an emphasis on soft skills, not only in our vocational programs, but from K through 12, because we can give you all the academics and all the skills you want, but if you cannot have a conversation, if you can't interview, if you can't show up to work on time, you're not going to keep that job. So that soft skills part, that interpersonal relationship is also very important to us.
Is there any correlation, are you like kind of involving the people? You said you have an entrepreneurship program
It'll start next year.
with the trades, because that's one thing people that are thinking about going into a trade instead of going to college may think, well, this is a limited dead end, but if they realize they can get a skill and then they can possibly start their own business in it, they may make better money than, half these kids in college, and can skip all the student loans and indoctrination and everything else. That might be a good thing to have, entrepreneurship along with, vocational ed.
Yes, and that actual Career Choice Academy will start next year. We think it's going to go at Forest because they don't have one yet. Yes, ma'am.
Last year, I was able to attend one of your STEAM programs with the initiative within the Sunrise Elementary. Is that going to continue with other schools? Because I thought that was a very good way to introduce STEAM representing science, technology, what is that, engineering, arts, math?
Yes.
So you're going to continue that, right?
Yes, in fact, the STEAM Inspiration Day was just Friday
Oh,
at
was it?
Sunrise. Yes, ma'am, it was. But yes, we do have STEAM initiatives as part of our choice options for families at some of our elementary schools. We got that through a grant, and we will continue to expand those opportunities as well.
I wanted to ask how much history is being presented in the schools, because patriotism is so important, starting at a lower level and continuing throughout. And I belong to the DAR up in Amelia Island, and what we as a community were doing is giving prizes to the schools for essays that were written on these types of things. Do you do any kinds of programs like that?
Oh, yes.
You do.
In fact, at this past Tuesday's board meeting, we had our history contest winners, our art and essay contest winners were recognized. We have a great partnership with the DAR here. I initiated that as I discovered that I am probably able to join, and almost all my paperwork's in. I'm very excited about that. So our local DAR, Daughters of the American Revolution, are very active in our school system, even more so now. And in fact, they are one of the judges for our history fair that we have in February. So I want to put that out on your radar, and I'll get the details to you to share more. But in February, we will be having our second annual huge history fair, and where we encourage middle and high school kids to put together a project. Some of them do the typical three-corner board, like a science fair project. Some do websites, some do dance or theater presentations as part of this fair project. But what it is, again, is bringing that exceptionalism, because we truly do live in the best country on the planet. I don't think that we have any reason to apologize for that. I think it should be celebrated daily. But not only at that grade level, but bringing it down to our younger ones, much like we're doing with this new curriculum, and also helping even our littles, our kindergartners, our pre-K, to understand not only that it's important to say the Pledge of Allegiance, but what those words mean and why we say it, and the sacrifices of our veterans that made it possible for us to be here. our Purple Heart parking sign initiative. We are up to 43 schools now. Soon we will have a reserved Purple Heart parking space at every school in Marion County. And when we have this dedication ceremony, it's much like an assembly type of day where the entire school participates. Our veterans are invited to come. We honor them. And we impress upon these kids, again, the sacrifices from our veterans. Each Purple Heart sign is sponsored by an organization or an individual. Mr. Hansen has, in fact, sponsored 2 of them in our district. And it's a great teachable moment and one that stays there. These kids have this face time with our veterans.
That was a wow experience at Shady Hill.
That was very touching, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah, jeez. Those kids, not only that they sang one of the patriotic songs, did they sing it? They signed it. They did the sign language as they were singing the song.
Oh, my goodness.
We also have veterans in the classroom where our veterans have opportunity to come in and mentor and tutor our kids. And we're on the right path with that, but we are continuing to expand those opportunities because we can't expect our students to just hit 8th grade and all of a sudden you teach them civics and American history and for it to mean something. So it has to just be part of the natural curriculum, everyday curriculum.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
I want to go back to the safety issue a little bit and ask if you could touch on the protocol a little bit when there's an active shooter at the school. And one of the reasons I'm bringing it up is when this started happening so often, parents looked for, what can I do for my child? And one was a company started making the bulletproof backpacks so that at least if they had their backpack on and a bullet came, it was a bulletproof. But is it my understanding that they're having to remove backpacks now once the shooting? I mean, I don't understand the situation. If you could maybe touch on that.
Okay, I'm not sure what you mean about remove the backpacks.
Well, in other words, the parents buy them a bulletproof backpack thinking that would give them some protection of some sort. But when I saw, in the past, it kind of looks like all the kids have to take their backpacks off as they're getting out of the schools and so forth. I'm just curious, I don't know the protocol or what happens.
That would be a sheriff or a police decision for them to take it off. But are you referring to the Alice protocol? Our Alice protocol for active shooters?
No, I think she's saying, let me rephrase it for you. See,
Yeah, because I don't
can
know.
kids bring backpacks to school and can they bring the bulletproof ones to school?
And leave them on in a situation when there's a shooter at school.
When that happens, it immediately gets turned over to the sheriff. It's almost like martial law, where the sheriff or the OPD is in charge, so that they would make that decision. But when we had the incident at Forest, I know that day, that when we had the sheriff's officers going through checking classrooms, the students did have to take backpacks off, just so there was a transparency of
Let's face it, that guy wearing the one with a bulletproof, he could also have a gun in there too. So you can't take that chance.
Yeah, just doesn't seem practical to have a bulletproof backpack.
I mean,
Practicality of it.
Well, I think right now too is that all options are there, and I as a mom, it might make me feel better that my child had one, even though we're not real sure. So,
No, but you guys are doing everything you can. I mean, we've been shut down, and, the school's been shut down, but we got a call immediately. I mean, it wasn't a day or two later that we found out that there was a possible shooter. We got called immediately. The school got immediately shut down. The sheriff was there in, I would say, a split second, because the officer's already there, stationed there. I mean, what else can you do? Yeah, they lock their doors, they put the kids as best they can to protect them.
Well, the schools, some of the schools have that, what do they call that officer?
Resource officer.
Yeah.
every school does.
Yeah, every school has a resource
Yeah.
officer in there.
Yeah, but I mean, when I went down there to get my grandbaby out of school, which he told me to leave her there, but I wouldn't do it. The sheriff caught me at the door and told me everything is fine, it was a false alarm. I said, that's fine, I'm still taking her. So,
Yeah.
I wouldn't listen to him.
Question about the guardian. Or a couple questions about it. One, is it support staff or is it classroom teacher? And how many are there? I mean, they spread them. I know it's all volunteer, but tell us more about the guardian.
That's about all we're gonna share about that, because
And
they
it's
are.
just as well,
they-
probably.
Well, they are, it is confidential because we don't want folks knowing. We know and the sheriff's department knows because
The bad guy
ultimately they are
doesn't need to know.
responsible.
That's
Yeah.
all they need.
The SRO at the school obviously
Our
has to
executive
know
said we got 20 in each school.
who the guardians are.
The sheriffs do.
And they're great,
Pardon me?
they are great.
But you don't know who the guardians are.
I don't know who the
That's
guardians
good,
are, but I
though.
know my resource
Yes,
officer.
Yes, ma'am.
Do the schools have someone that retains the knowledge of the psychologically problemed children? I mean, in my opinion, this school shooter business, because I'm a psych registered nurse, everybody needs to go to the source. The person who's committing the crime, what's the deal there? Come to find out how many of these shooters, there were people that actually had them on watch list type of thing and so on and so forth. So who is it at these schools that retains files or whatever you want to call it on the youth within that school that they're looking at?
Every school has a threat assessment team, a TAP team, and it's
Okay.
comprised of the school psychologist, a guidance counselor, a teacher, of course, a principal or assistant principal, and then support from the district office.
Okay.
That's a very sensitive subject too, because I'm totally with you on that, but, and we're to the point now, we don't make excuses anymore.
Right.
I'm taking a very hard line on discipline, especially after Parkland. But we also have to, well, and thank you for your support on that. But there is a difference, and we look at each case individually. For instance, when these kids are making these threats, even though they're unfounded, we can't tolerate that. That's disruption of a school function. When they do bring items to school that are prohibited, they're gone. They're gone, and I recommend without services, which means I'm recommending we don't even place them at an alternative school. They don't deserve that. Their family needs to take care of them. That's a family choice. The family needs to step up and take care of them. But there are instances where we need to use leniency. For example, we had a student at a high school who somebody saw he had a machete in his car. And of course, I see your faces, and that's what I said. I said, oh my gosh, a machete, oh, what's going on? Well, it turned out that student needed it for work, truly, because we checked into this, and that student was the breadwinner for that family. So should that student have had that machete in the car? No, but was it a more lenient situation? Yes, absolutely. So we worked with that student, and we had to discipline, but they were right back into school. So we look at everything individually. But these school fights that we're having, if you listen to the end of the board meeting Tuesday, there was a list this long of expulsions. That's because we had situations where there were maybe 3 fights, but everybody wanted to jump in and join. And we're just not going to have that. We cannot have that. We are having teachers and staff injured in these situations, and it's not acceptable. It just isn't.
What ages
I
were those?
think they're doing a good
Sir?
job.
What ages were those people fighting?
They were high school. They were high school.
Times have changed, haven't they? Yeah.
How do you discipline them, Heidi?
Well, when we expel or alternatively place, they'll go to an alternative school like Surmy or New Leaf if they need those services, or if it's egregious to what we're seeing now, I recommend without services, which means they are at home and the families have to figure it out.
I think that's good.
There are so many parents that don't care. How do you deal with that, if I may ask?
Thankfully, and honestly, there are more families out there who do care than the ones who really don't. So a big part of what we do also is to provide help to families, because in my introduction, I mentioned about knowing the system, but not even knowing how to get scholarships or opportunities for Jack. So you think about families who do struggle. You have a lot of families that do struggle and can't navigate the system, who want to do better, and just who can't find those resources. So us helping these families is a great part of it, but then sometimes you do get down to families who just don't care. We had an incident where we had on a bus, and we had two students one student who ran towards the driver, took her wallet, threw the wallet, assaulted her. She's trying to get help. We had another student join in. This bus driver, I am so impressed with her. She kept everybody safe. She got back to the school. It was a big mess. It was a big mess. Well, I said to the families of these two students, if you come in and apologize to this bus driver and you've impressed upon your children that we're serious and this needs to be an honest apology, and the bus driver accepts it, we will go lighter on your punishment. Well, the second student, that family was right on it. They're like, yes, thank you for this opportunity. That student and her father came in, apologized, really meant it. The bus driver accepted. We had a great conversation with that second student saying, you made a very poor choice, but this does not define you as a person. You're going to do great things. So she's going to go to an alternative placement for a while, but then she'll be able to come back to high school. The first student, the one where that student took the wallet and threw it and caused the incident, refused to come in. Okay.
You're out.
I gave you yes, exactly.
You're out.
So we really do try to work with these kids, because it is hard to be young. It is hard to be young, but ultimately you make choices and you must live with them.
I have two quick questions about current hot topics, one of which, do your schools offer safe zones, quiet rooms, aromatherapy, whatever have you in that genre? Do you have any of the above?
Not officially, no.
Okay, but unofficially, I guess there's sort of a...
There's some teachers, I know when I was teaching, I would have, the quiet areas and
well, that's
it is
gone
part
on
of the
for
classroom
years.
management.
It's not recognized.
Yeah.
Quiet, safety zones and aromatherapy if you get too stressed. Okay? The second topic I find rather interesting these days is, when are these students introduced to alternative lifestyle choices, i.e. transgender, transvestite, whatever have you? When is that done in the school curriculum? Not what they may hear anywhere else. And or is it offered?
It is not.
It is not offered in the school curriculum.
It is not.
Here.
It is not. No,
Okay.
ma'am.
It is other
Never, that's a never.
Okay.
Don't ever say never.
I mean, it's bad enough that they happen, let alone telling them how they might look at the situation in school.
Just a simple question, and getting back to American exceptionalism, do students in all grades begin school with reciting the Pledge of Allegiance?
Yes.
Oh.
Yes. Now, we had a little bump at the beginning of the school year where we had, I think, 2 schools whose media production cameras had gone down. So we weren't able to televise that morning show. And so each classroom teacher was leading the pledge on their own. And respectfully, it didn't happen in some classrooms, but it wasn't an intentional thing. It's the beginning of the school year. I'm a new teacher, oh my gosh, what am I doing kind of thing. But yes, we do have the pledge every morning. It's led from the hub of that morning show, and it's a great thing. Yes, ma'am.
Wow. Question, is parental involvement as big an issue as we read about? And if it is, or if it isn't, what are you doing in the school to get parents more involved?
Parental involvement's always an issue, a thing. Our perspective is though, is you can be involved and you don't have to physically come to campus. Some families simply can't physically come to campus because of their work hours or such, but being involved is as simple as having that conversation like we shared, or following through at night, or when you're cooking dinner, having your child participate, and making sure that your child understands that education is important and how you act and how you behave in school. Yeah, that's parental involvement. But we know too that we have to do a better job with getting that message out and creating experiences that families do want to come to school. In fact, getting your child, just get your child to school on time. That would be great. And then we'll take it from there. But we do have issues at a few schools where we're not even having students arrive on time, a majority of them, or being habitually absent. So parental involvement comes in many forms. We're due Thursday we had a great parental fair. Our Title I office did that, where they had a big festival and fair, and we had families come in, and we shared a curriculum, what we're doing, and more ways to engage. Our schools are very good at responding to the needs of the community, because every school is its own cultural hub. So what the needs and the wants are of perhaps Madison Street are not the same as East Marion, but they are equally vested in their kids and provide opportunities for involvement. So it goes down to that school-based level, but from the district side, we support as much as possible. We have a few district initiatives, like our Safe Trick or Treat that we did, our Safe Halloween, where we had over 800 kids come through. That was wonderful. We're gonna have our Literacy Festival again this spring. So just opportunities for us to get out and meet you, and for you to be able to engage with us as well.
Speaking of attendance, at the board meeting, there was presented the 15 schools that were in
the lower 300, yes.
Okay, there were some attendance numbers shown there, comparison first quarter of 17 and 18. How are those numbers calculated? I mean, to say a school is at 97% attendance, what's that mean? How's it calculated?
Well, out of the total population, it would be that 97% of them are attending with fidelity and on time.
So, I mean, is it like the number of hours divided by how many hours were missed, or, I mean, is there a formula that, just saying, well, there's 97% attendance, what's that mean? Does that mean that 97 kids out of 100 are there every day, and there's 3 kids that are never there?
It's an average. What we're presenting is an average for that quarter. So we had the absences and the tardies for 2 different numbers.
Well, it wasn't differentiated between absence and tardy, it was just attendance.
We keep those numbers.
Right, but the numbers presented on the report,
Okay.
we just said attendance.
Okay.
And it was just a percentage number.
Okay.
I think if you looked at it the other way, does that mean that only 3% of the students have,
Are not coming to
yeah,
school.
well, let's say the other way, 97% of the students have perfect attendance?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say, what,
Yeah, because
is
there was
there a
a,
formula that
Right.
you can say, okay, this
I
number.
can get you a formula if you'd like. I'll get you the minutia of it, but it is are the students coming to school or not? We've got 97% of the kids coming, and that should be significant. I know we have 2 schools that continue to struggle, and so we're working with them as well.
I don't think it means perfect attendance though.
No, we have very limited perfect attendance, because especially in elementary, you're gonna get sniffles, you're gonna get sick.
The number was there, and I just,
Yeah.
on the surface, I just said, oh, yeah, that's better, of course, than it was in last quarter, but then someone asked the question. I don't know, the question.
It's on average, you have that much. It could be different students.
Exactly,
You have different
exactly.
students, but it's on average, you've got
But
97%.
if you're in the 90s, that's awesome.
Yeah,
That's just awesome.
because kids do get sick or something.
We do.
I'm gonna throw my 2 cents into
Okay.
this. I believe 99% of this all falls back on parental responsibility.
That's right.
99%.
Yeah.
Getting the kid to school is.
I mean, I'm stealing some of your thunder here, but
Please.
I'm sticking up for the school system. Okay? Imagine if you got sent home with a note from school. You know what the consequences were, and there were consequences for that. Could you imagine if you sat the teacher back? There was consequences for that. The school I went to, I'll share this, but all of us, there were boys were on one side of the school, and the young ladies were on the other side of the school. It was Catholic school. All of us boys got marched into the principal's office. If you had a D on your report card, you were told to go and tell mommy and daddy, I got a D. If I don't bring that D up to a C next time, I'm expelled from school. I hid under I flew on the radar. I was never caught in there. I never, they forgot to call me. The next kids that were brought in were the ones with the F. That afternoon, they were told to go back into the locker and get off school grounds. It was a no-nonsense school. Every priest and sister, when they walked by, she got out of their way. One refused to, and the priest said, if you don't mind getting out of my way, let's settle this like you would. Go in the field house, 2 o'clock, we're gonna duke it out. Every guy that was ever thought he was ever gonna make it, we were all there and watched this priest discipline this guy. My friend got his collar, and the young boy was about your size, and Father Denny was about my size. The kid made the first swing at the priest. How stupid. He made a swing at the priest, and the priest annihilated this kid. He's on the ground, he's looking at the movies, he said, I'll help you get up, but do you want to do this again? He gets the kid up. He actually dusted him off from the grass from being in the field. We're watching this, and he says, let me know if you're going to do this again, just like a movie. So he grabbed his fist, it made him cry. Next morning, you know who was there to see the principal's office? The parents. The shame that they had on their face, we all saw this, that their son had actually done this to a priest, or a teacher, or an adult, and they're spending good money to send this kid to school. I went by to visit the priest when I graduated from high school, Buddy and I, and he says he was a welterweight boxer over in Ireland, Father Denny was. And he was in the seminary. And he said, I'm stealing your, I just shared a human story. It says, he was talking to one of his buddies, and he was going to be a priest. He's in the seminary. So, as most instructors would do, or teachers, what's so funny? Come up here and tell the class. So he said, I had a smirk on my face, and I walked up like that's real cool. And the priest said he had a little fish bowl. Like you see on some desks, they have a little gravel, one fish. The gravel, the water was not, the gravel was missing, it was full of pennies, and the water was there, no fishes. I want you to take out every penny in there. So he made a smirk to all his friends, took it in, it was hooked up to 110. He said, you want me to keep sticking my hand in that water, knowing I'm going to get a shock? He says, that's why I was raised, so I figured it was okay to beat you guys all up. And he did. Everyone was hit by this priest. He didn't know any better, but guess what? It didn't hurt any of us. It's a true story. Hi, camera. It's a true story of how we were raised. And he kept us in line, this man did.
Now I know why you're so messed up.
I wasn't afraid of that shock. But on a serious note, we were raised that way. This is only a handful of years ago.
She's appalled. She's appalled, like it's kid.
This is the way we were raised. In Cardinal Gibbons High School in Fort Lauderdale. But anyhow, times have changed. Times have,
It really hasn't changed, the parents have changed.
It goes back to what I said earlier, it's parental responsibility. If you knew you were going to bring shame to your mother and father, that was usually the key. Oh man, when my parents find out, both my parents worked, so I got beat by my mom, she was an RN, with the shoe that had the wooden heel. Then my dad, this thing that you call here, I got it by then. He didn't know what he was hitting me for, but I did something wrong. And the look on my father's face when I did something wrong was worse than any beating I ever got.
That's right.
So you can only do, I'm breaking this, you can only do so much. An educator can only do so much. Mom and dad need to step up to the plate and assume responsibility. They're your children, not mine. And on the flip side, Jack and a lot of us spend a lot of time at Board of County Commission meetings and, oh, they're spending 15 cents on this. When you get home, look at your ad valorem bill. You will see, if I'm not mistaken, the educational system, schools, may be high, or if not higher, maybe higher than what we're spending on the Board of County Commissioners. We got a real investment here, not only financially, but the future of Marion County. So maybe we need to spend a little more time thinking about this, because those are going to be our future leaders, or possible future leaders.
Yeah.
I'll let you wrap up.
That was a great wrap up.
No, don't hang the teachers necessarily.
No.
Don't hang administration. Mom and dad have got to assume, or mom or dad have got to assume responsibility for their children. They send them to school. I used to be in a drug task force in Marion County. They send the kids to school, a bus picks them up, takes them to school. They get to eat, and then they go play. And they get to take a shower, some of them. Then they feed them their lunch. Then mom and dad, when they get home, they never even feed them any supper. But they get a check for those children. That's where the problem lies.
You got it.
No responsibility whatsoever. I was on a drug bust one night. They did it for me on my birthday. This is a true story in Citra. We get in there for the drug bust. There's a shotgun laying in the yard. Loaded shotgun. There was a normal bedroom, say 10 by 11, 8 children sleeping on a box spring. Boys and girls. Underneath the box spring is where they kept the dope. Okay? I opened up the range. There was a rat the size of a chihuahua in there. Those parents had those children, for whatever reason, they weren't parents, okay? They were just, they sired these children. And then DCF or whatever says, we'll divide them among the family members. You don't think the family members are any different than those clowns that had these children?
They knew about it.
That's the problem. How could you imagine being a school teacher telling one of those children, you didn't do your homework?
So?
Yeah, so 8 children sleeping on a box spring. Tough. That's what's out there. And how do you expect an educator to do better than what they're doing? I don't know the answer except for parental responsibility. So I thank you for being an educator, doing what you've done to help our children. And any closing words?
Thank you for the opportunity to share about our school system, because truly we have great things happening in Marion County Public Schools. We have 43,000 students, about 7,000 employees, and we get up every day. I know I get up every day blessed that I am able to change the life of a child. I think that is, besides being a mom, it's the best thing I've ever done. So I thank you for your support and your time today, and I'm happy to come back anytime you'd like for updates. I'd love to do that.